Hey guys, it's a long time. So welcome back to another exciting episode of YOMO. This is the Year of Magical Learning podcast. So we're on 304 today, and today we're talking about some secrets. So what's the secrets, Chris?
Yeah, today we're talking about The Secret History of Christmas by the author Bill Bryson. I heard that Bill was retiring from writing, and
When was
whatever,
this?
in 2020, I think, when he made I think At Home, the Secret History of Private Life.
You talking about the table,
Yeah, the one about the table. Yeah, yeah.
the boardroom?
Above
Okay.
board. Yeah.
Yes.
Uh I thought I heard that he was retiring, that he had retired from writing. And then he didn't write this one. This is an Audible book, purely Audible, and it's called it came out like in 2022, I think, or something like that. And it's called The Secret History of Christmas, and it's just Audible only. And it's about the secret history of Christmas. As only Bill Bryson could do it. So, like, why do we do what we do? Why are the traditions the
Why you
traditions?
yelling?
Why are we yelling?
I
it's
think he should write a book about why we're yelling. I'm intrigued by that topic.
I would as well. I would love that. So it's like, why is it called Boxing Day, for example? Why do we sing Good King? I don't even know what that is. Wenceslas, who wasn't a king and possibly not even good. What's the story behind the Christmas crackers? Why, who would have guessed one of the most popular Christmas carols began as a semi-pornographic Welsh folk song? How did Saint Nicholas, a bishop from the dawn of Christianity, turn into a plump old jolly figure named Santa Claus, flying a sleigh and living at home in the North Pole, right? I mean, these are all things that we just take for granted. So this is what this book was about. It was really interesting. It was pretty short, but it was and Bill Bryson-esque form. You learn a ton and you don't remember anything. I don't know that I can remember anything other than it was an enjoyable book. But yeah. So this one made me think about Grandma's cooking secret is the reflection title, and I'll explain here in a second because this is actually a story that you always tell.
I thought about a turkey.
Yep, the turkey. Yeah.
Okay.
Um, you know, have oftentimes I feel like we, haven't really stop and wonder why we do what we do. Like I feel like a lot of times we're just on autopilot. We just
Hmm.
wander through life and we give presents out for Christmas, even for little shit like Christmas. Like, why do we hang mistletoe? Like, why do we do this? Like, why do we, where do these traditions come from? Why do we always think that these things have been around for forever and ever and ever, and we come to find out they've really only been around for 100 years? Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. This is one I remember. Do you know what that? Do you know where that came from? I thought that was always like a Christmas carol, or tradition. Like, do you know where that came from?
Nope.
That
No
was an
clue.
ad, and you probably didn't even know what this business is. Montgomery Ward. Do you know what Montgomery Ward is? Do you remember that? Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So Montgomery Ward. This was an ad that Montgomery Ward put out about Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, and they had a little jingle behind it, and it became so popular, back in whatever it was, like the 40s or something like that, from their little jingle that it developed into the Rudolph that we know today. Now everybody knows Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, and I'm
They
like,
they should have copyright that and get royalties.
I think they did. I mean, it's
Are they still getting royalties for it?
well, I don't think Montgomery Ward exists anymore.
Yeah, they went bankrupt.
Right. There's the original ad. Oh, whoops! Why did I go to that? Yeah, there was it was a book that they put out, as an advertisement, like with it was just ads. And then it turned into more and more stuff, right? So
Mhm.
anyway, so like it's stuff like that, where you're just, I don't know, you just feel like things have been around for forever. I would have never ever in a million years
So
thought to.
more or less, we live in a fake world.
For sure. I mean, Santa Claus makes no sense. Like Bill talked a ton about like the how Santa Claus even developed, and different variations of Santa Claus all over the world. It makes no sense how he ended up in the North Pole with a bunch of elves. Like there's just no fucking rhyme or reason to like why Santa Claus even exists. Like I if you ask me to try to figure this thing out and to go all Bill Bryson on you to try to recap this, there's no way I would have been able to do it. But the point of what I'm getting at though is like there's a lot of things that we do every single day, that we just don't even know. That this is we say it is what it is, right? Like this is what we do all the time. That's the phrase that I found myself saying all the time, before this journey, before Yomo, before Amelia, of, it just is what it is. Like, why do we go to work for 8 hours a day? I don't know. It is what it is.
It is what it is.
Like why do I have to send my kid to daycare, and have him get sick all the time? Well, it is what it is, like why
do we have to pay taxes?
Why do we have to pay taxes? Great question. I don't know. It is.
Why do you have to pay capital gains taxes?
Great question. Why? Like, isn't that already? Didn't already pay taxes on that? Like, I mean, why do I have to pay taxes twice? Like, I don't know. It is what it is. Like, so like I found myself saying that all the time upon reflection. Like, get back to like before the year of magical learning. Luckily, we have people out there like Bill Bryson that doesn't accept it as what it is, and this is why he's the best, because he goes down deep, like into rabbit holes around very, very specific topics where he figures out why it is the way that it is, right? And where do these words come from, and what is the cadence of these, and how did we even get to where we got to today? He's recreating and retelling history to have it make sense, like that's how pretty much all of his books are in a lot of ways, minus his travel books, but even in his travel books he still does that, right? Because he's traveling around and he's telling the story of how Australia became Australia, or something like that, right? Like these are all things that like most people don't think about. I think that we just go on autopilot almost every single day of their life. And it reminded me of a story that you always tell, of this young wife was cooking her first Thanksgiving, feast for her young family, and she got the turkey all prepared and was getting ready to put it in the oven. The husband walks in and he goes, "That looks fantastic, but like, why did you chop off both ends of the turkey?" She's like, "I don't know. That's the way my grandma always told me, that's how she always did it. So that's how I'm going to do it." Right. So they end up having the dinner. The dinner turns out great. And, everybody was really happy. She sees her grandma the next week or whatever it was, and she comes over and is excited to tell her how good she did it with the recipe. And she's like, by the way, why do we cut off both ends of the turkey? And she goes, "Oh, that's because my oven was, too tiny or whatever. And I couldn't fit it in there initially." And, it's shit like that where you're like, "Oh, well, that's how grandma does it, right? Like, this is what we do, like, I mean, there's a million things like that you just, you just don't even think about, like, where do the origins of where some of these things start, mythology, religion, things that we just do every single day of our life, nation states. Like, how the fuck did we get to the point in time where imaginary lines are drawn all over the world and we have nation states, like when did that start happening? Like, where did the stock market come from?
How do you know when you won in one nation which is the next nation?
How do you know?
This is science. And well, okay.
I shit you not. This is no
whatever
joke.
You take off the sign.
we were driving to that tournament that we went to, that tennis tournament in Cincinnati, a couple weeks back, and I remember crossing the border from Indiana into Ohio, because the tournament was in Mason, Ohio, like a suburb of Cincinnati, and I joked with my wife. I was like, "Do you think a squirrel, like when they see a sign that says welcome to Ohio, and they're like I was like, what do the fuck they think that is?" They're like, what does that mean? Like, where did I just, I'm right here and then I was right there. Like, what how is this? Like, what is this new? Like, I mean, these are all new laws.
I mean, you can say the same thing about the squirrel, because you look at the squirrel and say, "Hey, okay, which one are you and which tree is yours?"
Exactly.
How do you know? How you know your tree extends to this? This part of the shadow or whatever.
Well, and like, why do we just accept that? Like, we crossed this imaginary border, totally different laws, totally different customs, totally different ways of doing things between Indiana and Ohio. It's like, "Oh, no, I'm from Indiana. No, I'm from Ohio." Like, it's like, what do you mean? You guys literally, sometimes like Cincinnati, a portion of the city is in Kentucky, a portion of the city is in Indiana, a portion of the city is in Ohio, obviously. Louisville, half of the damn city is in Indiana, half the city is in Kentucky. Like Northwest Indiana, Chicago land area, like there's 300,000 people in Northwest Indiana that call themselves Chicagoans, and we're like, "You live in Indiana." Like, I don't even understand. What are you talking about? They're like, no, but we're from Chicago. I used to get so mad at my friends, like that I went to Purdue, and there's so many Northwestern Indiana people that come down from the Chicagoland area that go to Purdue. because actually it's closer to that area than it is like, you know, pretty much anywhere else. And they always call themselves, they when you ask them where they're from, they say I'm from Chicago, and I'm like, you're not from Chicago. You're from
Like people from New
Northwest Indiana.
Jersey and
Like,
say they're from New York.
exactly. Like, you're not from New York. You are from
And then
New Jersey.
and then
you know? Like,
and then Kansas City is still in Kansas.
that's right. Yeah, like Kansas City is in Missouri, you know. And you're like, wait a minute, like that blew my, you know, that'll fuck you up, you know. Like,
I mean, should it call Missouri City?
they
Oh no,
should.
it's taken. We're gonna go out of Kansas.
Because it's right next to Kansas, I guess. I don't know. Anyway, like, I mean, you think of all these things that we do, and you just never really question, like, why do we do what we do, or how did this stuff happen, right? And like Grandma's classic recipe is you know, a great example of that. So the moral of the story for me though is, I think one of the things I try to ban myself in my own mind is whenever I catch myself saying it is what it is, like that's, I think, the trigger for me to go, it's not is what it is. Like it's like, why am I just accepting this? Like, go figure out why it is what it is, and then I'll make the decision whether or not I want to accept
Well,
that.
it
or
is
not,
what
right?
it
You know?
is, but it doesn't have to be.
It doesn't have to be, right? Exactly. Like it could be something else. It could be anything else. Like you don't have to do that, you know. Like the daycare dilemma that you and I have been arguing about for you know, not because you've been on my side, but I mean, we've been discussing, right? Yeah, right. That we've been passionately, you know, agreeing upon, of like the funny thing about daycare is, like, we think that that's just standard, right? You know, that's table stakes for almost every single American in this country. Like, you know, that goes to work. Like, well, I have to go to work, so I got to take my kids somewhere. So, you know, we have daycares everywhere, and daycares are now super expensive everywhere that you go, and it's really hard. There's an actual decision that a lot of families have to make of whether or not to send their kids to daycare or to keep working, because it's like, it could be a complete net wash. Like it could be literally every dollar you make for some people, pretty much all of it goes into the daycare. So you might as well just stay home with your kids and have fun and you know, and spend time with your kids, right? Well, like,
well,
my
that's
son,
that's how you get double revenue, because the moms go to work to pay the taxes.
right?
The daycare taker go to work and take care of the kids. These are
Pays
wash,
taxes. Right.
but they pay taxes, so the
Right.
taxes is the tax revenue come from two sides instead of one.
Like, it's mind blowing. Not only that, the second part that I always find fascinating about this whole daycare concept is, like, we drop our kids off somewhere so we can go somewhere that we don't want to be, so they can go somewhere that they don't want to be.
They don't want to be.
Like we but this is what it is. It is what it is. And then not only that, we dump a bunch of kids that aren't from the same families or the same tribe, if you will, you know, into some crazy ass environment where they're all coming from all different demographics and backgrounds and you know, whatever goes on in their life. Then of course they're going to get sick all the time, and everybody tells me, hey,
it is what it is.
And I'm like, it's not, it is what it is. Like our natural state isn't sick. Like, you know, like, I mean, like, yes, we do get sick. They're like, no, it builds the immunity. It only fucking builds the immunity for that environment. Like, I mean, if any adult goes in there, they're going to get sick too, you know, like, because it's not natural. Like, it's a fucking forced environment that, like, even nature is telling us, hey guys, you probably are doing some weird shit here. Like, we shouldn't be shoving all these people that don't know each other into an environment, you know. Like, anyway, my point being is, like, whenever I catch myself these days saying it is what it is, before this whole journey, before Yomo, I just would have said it is what it is, and, like, just kept going on, you know. Like, now I stop and I go, no, maybe there's a different path, and maybe I'll choose to take the same path that you know, I've chosen to keep Luca in daycare at this point in time, for many reasons, and whatever, it doesn't matter. But I made the decision, right? Like, you know, like, as a family, we made a decision to that. It wasn't just like, well, this is what we do, you know. Like, no, like, I made that decision, and I'm okay with that at this point in time now. But my point being is, like, whenever you catch yourself saying it is what it is, like, go deeper. Don't fucking take that as table stakes, and keep going, and be curious, and you know, and figure it out. Like, you know, figure out if it is what it is for you, you know. So anyway, I'll pause. Love to get your thoughts.
Well, nothing, it is what it is, because it's you. And I keep saying all along the journey is that you are unique. Don't listen to anyone, right? I'm not saying don't learn from them. Don't listen to them, because you cannot take their key, right? The key to success, the key to whatever, the key to health, the key to money, whatever. You cannot take that key, go to your home, and unlock your home with that key. It doesn't work that way. This is what I'm saying is you have to take inspiration, but whatever you take from them is knowledge. But what you can take from them and translate into what you can use for you, that's insight, that's wisdom. So you have to make it your own. Whatever it is that you do, does it apply to me? So you're gonna have to do the evaluation every single time you take some kind of knowledge for yourself.
Right.
Knowledge that you take from other people will not work for you. It will not work for you 100%. You say, well, I see how he does it, but for me, I need to tweak this and that for me for it to work for me.
Right.
That is just like life in general. You cannot, because you have said before that you are so unique that there is not a single person that is exactly like you before or until now. There hasn't been a person that's exactly like yourself. So that
One in
means that
400 trillion that even exist.
Exactly. So that means that your path is your own. It is your own path. It cannot be another person's path. So you cannot take some standardized generalizations and say, okay, I accept that. If you do, I mean, you're going to trying to put a square peg into a round hole, and you know you're gonna. You mean it makes me think about the bed of Procrustes, right? You read that book, remember?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Essentially, you know, if people remember what it is, it's like this in Greek mythology, right? This guy, this rich business guy, he has this bed, right? His name is Procrustes. He has his bed, so he would invite travelers to his house, give him dinner, and then put him to bed. And so basically, he has one size bed. If you are shorter than the bed, he'll stretch you to fit the bed. If you're longer than the bed, he'll chop your legs or your whatever the head to make it fit the bed. So that's like meaning you are putting a square peg in a round hole. Something is gonna get chopped off. Something is amiss. So you cannot live your life that way. So you do not take anyone's advice as is. Always take it and modify it to
figure it out. Like that's when innovation happens, is when you say, okay, this is how we do it, but like maybe we could do it differently. You know, I mean, I remember. Do you remember when I was telling you about the first time I ever played Settlers of Catan with Amanda and Dustin and like everybody holds their cards. You know, the point of the game, as she described it was the first time I'd ever played. The point of the game, as she described it, is like, you know, you gotta negotiate, but you gotta be friendly villagers with other people, but at the same time, like, you know, you want to win the game, you want to build your own settlement, right? Like, but also you need to cooperate with other people. So like you need to be like, you know, helpful, like, and yada yada yada. And yeah, she was describing the game. It was an interesting game, and I was like, okay, all right, fine, I'll play with you guys. And she's really good at it. She's going to the nationals. You know, I think she played last weekend or something like that. I got to check to see how she did. The first time I played, you know, it's standard that she was like, okay, so you take your cards, make sure you keep them face down, whatever, blah blah blah. And after like 2 minutes of playing, I was like, that people were like guessing what you had and like asking you to negotiate whatever, and I was like, well, you know, there's no rule that I can't just flip up all my cards and you can see what I have, right? Like, and she's like, no, you can't do that. I'm like, why not? I was like, fuck it, I don't care. Like, here, just see what I have. If you need an extra log, you know, to build your log cabin or whatever, and you want to negotiate with me, like, I'm an open book. Like, just come over here, you know, let me know. You know, if I have it, I'll help you out. If I don't, I won't. Like, you know, and she was like, you can't do that. And I was like, well, I'm fucking doing it. There's no rule, right? You know, and lo and behold, I ended up winning the game. But they were like, what are you doing? Like, you can't like you can't show your cards to everybody. And I was like, well, I guess you can. You know, like, why do you have
the thing is you can and cannot, because the thing is, if everybody, if you play against like one or two person, if both of them decide to take advantage of you, then yeah, you're gonna lose. But because there are so many people in the game, it's dynamic. They can say, well, even if I know what Chris's have, I can't really take advantage of him because someone else has to have to protect myself from other people taking advantage of me based on what Chris. So it's so like I say, in a dynamic, wicked environment that we live in, the variables that we have to play with are like vast, right? And talking about thousands of variable versus like even in Catan, you know, I mean, how many people play in one in the game Catan? Exactly. So there's only 4 people, and only 1 people share. That means 3 other people are still competing with each other. So they cannot all take advantage of you. So that means when you open up your card, you're not their enemy. So they are not going against you. They go against another, but they're going to use you as an ally. So basically, from there, you are left alone as an advantage.
Yeah.
Just like when World War II happens, right? They didn't touch the U.S. until Japan stupid wants to take over the U.S. and bomb Pearl Harbor. But the U.S. we say, hey, no one touch it. Man, nothing happens to you. No damages to your country. I mean, other people are losing left and right. This country isn't. So you stay out of it. You know, for the big part of the war. That's why we have so much of these advantages today. But you know, you talk about 4, and even then they can't decide how to negotiate, how to be like commonly like to get together to take advantage of you. But then because then even if they beat you, right, they can't win the game because there's 2 other people. You know what I mean? So
it's a really weird game.
Even in that combo, four variable combo, you can't even control. So imagine you have 4,000 variable. How can you control that? So you think life, right? Life is like that. So that's why to me, we are saying in company, we're gonna give you a living wage, and we're not asking anything in return. And I guarantee you, because we live in a dynamic environment, people are not going to take advantage of company because there is so many. The thing is, you think about it, but you think about it, if I say, hey, if the government or if the world gives people a living wage and they don't have to go to work, they can do whatever they want, whatever produce they make from their hobbies, it's going to be the product of the country. To me, that's going to be far much better than the one we have right now. Because the thing is, like I say, I guarantee you that you cannot do nothing. That means that you can do something. You can go play tennis. Well, how do you play tennis? Well, if you play tennis, can I put a video and record you and then use that to make money from? Like, so you're going to make money for government regardless of what you do, because you're going to do something you like, and you're going to be driven to do something you like. You can go, hey, I'm gonna go fishing. I'm gonna go like, you know, grow
the
grass.
Geography of genius. The geography of genius. Remember when in Iceland, 10% of the population writes a fucking book, and you're like 10%. Do you know how many people write a book in America? Percent of the population?
I don't know, but it's probably like 1%.
I don't even. No, it's probably like 0.001%. Like how many people are published authors in America? I forget. 54,000 writers and authors, you know, published authors, between 1% and 2%. Yeah, 10. There's 10. It's like 10 to 15, I think, percent or something like that in Iceland, right? Like, and you're like, wait a minute, are they just better writers? Like, or like, you know, why is there such a massive, you know, like boost? Well, because the way that America works is, well, you got to go to work, and like you don't have time to write, because you got to go to work to feed the machine of all the other things, like and writing is put on the back burner, and they're like, it just
because they even invented daycare so that you don't have to stop working.
Yeah, I mean, good God, you know, can you imagine like
I mean, that's how you get double tax revenue.
Well, that's almost everything that we do. Like it never has made any sense, like that we have to go to, you know, like to go away for work, right? You know, it's like, why do we need to drive an hour and a half to go to, like, you know, back when people, like, as the suburbs even got bigger and bigger and bigger, because people are like, look, I can't afford to live in these cities anymore to be closer to my work, so like I'm gonna go move an hour and a half away and drive an hour and a half every single day in garbage traffic. I gotta go pay for cars, you know, spend 3 hours of my life, you know, yelling at people, and you're like, it just is what it is. Like,
and then you complain about CO2 emission.
Yeah, and then we're like,
it's like,
you know,
okay, if you worry about CO2 emission, stop telling people to go to work.
Just work at home. Like, yeah, I mean, like, do you know the word husbandry? I learned this one in a short history of at home, a short history of our private life. Do you know what husbandry means?
husbandry is like the work around the house, right?
Yes,
The yeah. I mean, that's
that's
why,
what
yeah.
that's what husbandry means. To be a husband means to take care of the fucking house and the property
Yep.
and do husbandry things, you know? Like that's what it means, right? Is like, I don't know, we were never really meant to like go travel hours away every single day to go work for 8 hours. I mean, like, how do you ever even have a family? Like, no wonder
I mean, the
people
thing is,
like,
husbandry is like the work outside the house, and the housewife is like inside the house, kind of.
right.
That's the image I get when I hear the words.
It
So
is.
it's not
I
like a
mean,
husband is like you do something grand. Like, no, it's just your stuff is outside in the barn, right? You go feed the horse, go grind this stone
get
mill.
food, you know, like, you know, yeah.
Go plow the field.
Make sure the house is safe and
Go
protected
chop some stuff
and
up. Go chop some wood. That's
right.
husbandry,
Yeah.
right?
Yes.
That's all husbandry work.
Yes. But like we don't like husbandry work now is drive an hour and a half, you know, into the city, like so you can, you know, go into like thank God.
Nowadays there's no such thing as husbandry or housewife no more. Everybody wants to go to work because
They don't want to go to work.
we it's not that we let me rephrase that. We have to go to work
Right.
because
mean,
they make it so you cannot survive without going to work.
I mean, fuck,
Both
even our
people
educational
have
system.
both husband and wife has to go to work so
Yeah.
that you can get double or triple tax revenue,
Exactly.
right? Because you can't survive with just one person going to work. That's
I
why
mean,
daycare exists, and
my
it
wife is
zeroes
an
out.
educator. Yeah, right. My wife is an educator. The education system only exists because people had to go to work. Like, I mean, that is literally why they created the education system.
Well, education is a work training program. Okay, that you wanna
Right.
be more specific. It's a work training program starting when you're young. It's not educate. You're not education anything.
No.
Education to me is like me. We're learning something that we want to learn. That's
Right.
education.
Yep.
Education, and this one is just hey, it's a work training program. That's that's as succinct as I can put it.
Right.
You are preparing yourself for the workforce. That's all it is. You preparing
You're learning
yourself
to follow instructions. You're
to
learning to do what somebody else tells you to do.
imagine you remember you talked to me about when you were in school that you did your work and then you doing things that you're not supposed to do except
Yeah.
sitting at the desk and wait until everybody's done, right?
Yep.
What
Oh,
happened
yeah.
when you do that?
I get in trouble. I mean,
Exactly,
I had
because
to write the fucking
you
dress code 80 times.
you're
My entry
conditioned to
year.
follow the instructions.
They tried to. I remember in Steve Jobs's autobiography or memoir with the Walter Isaacson wrote. I just finished that like a couple months ago, and he was recounting when he was back in grade school, and he was like they almost broke me. He's like they almost got me. He was like he said he used to always like never he would just refuse to do anything. You know, he I don't know, he was a countercultural kind of guy in general. He didn't do whatever anybody wanted him to do, and that's why Apple was the way the Apple was, right? But there's one teacher at one point in time kind of bribed him basically with like because she played to his values of competition and whatever. She didn't know it, but she did, you know, and he was like, look, I already like to go home and learn on my own, but like you're gonna pay me to do this stuff, like fine, I'll do it, you know, no big deal. Like I mean, I'll easy peasy, right? So then he started doing work, like he eventually he ended up liking school enough, you know, and he stayed with it, right? You know, but like the funny thing was is I remember him saying the words, they almost got me, you know, like they tried to bring me in, you know, like and they just couldn't fully break me, right? You know, but like that's kind of the point. It's like a wild horse, you know, running a Mustang or whatever, where they want to fucking run around and do crazy stuff because that's what we're made to do, you know. And then we try to corral them into a nice thing so we can ride them and you know
and
get
put them to
them.
grinding the stone, do husbandry stuff.
Exactly. Like some of them just go easy, some of them don't, you know. Like, but that doesn't mean that that's our nature. It's not is what it is.
And then eventually you become Sherman.
Exactly. Like yeah, and
I
exactly.
I can relate to that because I think they broke me in a way because when I was younger, you know, I was, you know, in Vietnam until I came to the United States at 10 years old. when I was younger, I basically I have this ODD, and you know what ODD is,
Yeah,
right?
right,
Order
right.
defiant disorder, right?
No,
So
oppositional defiant.
opposition defiance disorder. So
Yeah,
I oppose everything.
right.
And then when I came here to the United States, right, I got into fights every day. And one day, like I say, in Vietnam, I was the worst kid you can ever have, like in your class. Like I was a troublemaker. I don't listen to you. I have, like I say, ODD. Um, I I'm that kid, right? I don't learn anything anyone teaches me. That's a good thing and a bad thing. I mean, it's a
Right.
good thing because I didn't learn anything of the bad stuff.
Yep.
It's a bad thing if the teacher teaches something good and you didn't learn what. But nonetheless, fortunately for me, it's a good thing that I didn't learn the ways of the the communists. So I didn't learn it. And so when I came here, right, I get into fights, I get into trouble, and I put my parents in pressure because your kid can stay in school, you have to go pick them up, and so they're working two jobs, and I'm being the troublemaker. They have to grovel the boss to let him go, to the principal's office and go to the hospital because I broke my arm, blah blah blah, and all that. So that put me into a bind. So I become this obedient person from sixth grade onto 12th grade. I have perfect attendance.
Right.
I was in a way was handcuffed into this institutions of Chinese training program. Then when I get to college, right, I start to um, continue. I did kind of broke out a little bit, and then doing work I still broke out, but then eventually it broke, and I say, well, fuck, I can't take this anymore. So
Right.
basically, I get to the point of collapse, and it's like back from the dead, kind of like, and that's why you and I came,
Yeah.
face to face. Hey, look, I don't want this life. This life to
Right.
me is ain't worth living. And
you
so
you you accepted it. You accepted it is what it is, and you're like, look, I'm gonna
uh,
if that's the way that it is,
and that what
then I'm gonna
happens.
try to be the
That
best
is
at it.
what happens
Right,
when you
right,
accept what is what it is.
right. I mean, I'm listening to this book right now. It's called Rework. Have you ever heard of it before?
Yep,
So it's
I
have you read that?
heard of it. I haven't read it, but I heard of it.
It's pretty good. It's a really short, fast read. It's by the people that created like Basecamp, that the product
Mm-hmm.
Basecamp or whatever. So the first chapter was thing called, sorry, I'm gonna sneeze. Sorry.
That's true.
The first chapter was this thing he called takedowns. First one is ignore the real world. Basically like he's people are pretend like the real world doesn't exist, when they're starting these businesses or whatever. And they're like, well, there's, like they pretend like reality isn't there, and you're like, no, reality is there. Like it's just you gotta actually recognize that, like, it's got to be a profitable business. Or one of the other takedowns is, learning from mistakes is overrated. So like the whole fail fast, mentality of
Mm-hmm.
of Silicon Valley. We've talked about this all the time. It's like, it's not fail fast, it's learn fast, right? It's not like nobody's trying to fail. Like nobody goes like, but honestly, VCs do want you to fail. They're like, look, we invested money into this. We don't want to keep investing money into it. So either figure out if you're a flop or you're somebody that's going to be a unicorn or not really fast, because that's really what they do want. They want you to fail. Like they want you to just.
But the thing is, like it is, like you say, it is what it is, and this unicorn investors or whatever, it is what it is, because
Right.
I don't care. I don't fucking care what kind of blueprint that you follow. Your investment is still like 1 in 20.
Yeah. Yeah,
So
does
it
matter.
doesn't
Yeah.
matter if you fail fast or you do, blah blah blah, whatever. It's still a fucking trial, like randomness, right? You say, well, I'm going to put a lot of seeds in, and then I'm going to see which one grows. And so that's what you're doing. So all this like spill about fail fast or whatever is nonsense.
It's
To
stupid.
me and you, we are
it's-
say, like, you gotta do what you love to do, because regardless of you get the return, you already got the reward you needed. Because if you say, hey, I love to play tennis, whether or not I get paid for playing tennis, right? Okay, it's a gravy on top.
Great. Yeah.
Like, and you say, hey, if you talk about Steve Jobs, hey, I really like to learn from home, right? And you want me to, I like, learn about on my own. You want me to learn from home, okay? And you pay me for that? Oh, it's gravy on top. You don't need to get paid to even doing it. You just happen to get double,
Right.
double dipping. And so it doesn't matter whether you felt fast or whatever. If you don't like what you do, there's no insight because there's no need to. Your brain blocks you from processing and analyzing anything. But if you like what you do, say, oh, did I hit that backspin a little bit too much? Did I have like a 46-degree angle, or did it 45.5 or 45.25? It's like, I mean, that excites you. What the fuck? You know what I mean? Because thing is in the nuance of little things, right? Yep. It excites you versus like if somebody doesn't like tennis, that's the boringest thing ever. Say, how the fuck do you calculate how much spin you put on a ball?
Right. It sounds all like that is the best example ever of it is what it is. I was playing in a tournament one time. This is after Yomo had started. Before Yomo had started, like I said, I was a one trick. We talked about this the other day. I was a temperamental one trick pony, right? If it didn't work on that particular day, then I was fucked. Well, I wasn't anymore. So I started doing my normal thing, and in this tournament that I was playing, and the guy on the other side was pretty good. And I was like, okay. It was quickly clear. It was clear to me after like 2 games playing against this guy. I was like, me playing the way that I normally play is not gonna win this match. And I was like, what I saw in him though was, there's this unwritten rule in tennis. You don't moonball people. Like, do you know what I mean by that?
What is moonball people?
What's that?
What do you mean by moonball people?
Hit lobs all day long, like you watch a tennis match on TV, like against 2 pros or whatever, like you don't see anybody ever lob the ball unless they're at the net, right? And they're trying to lob it over their head and they're trying to hit it in the backcourt, but like while somebody's at the net, right? Like that's an acceptable shot. Like if you want to lob the ball, do that.
But is there a rule against it?
No, not at all. Like when 2 people are at the baseline though, like the idea of hitting a moon ball, meaning just hitting lobs deep into the court, like really high lobs, like where you're like, what are you doing, man? You're like, everybody can hit that shot. Like, you're not doing anything. You're just hitting moon balls into the back of the court. Well, the truth is they're actually kind of a hard shot to hit. Like, they're actually a very hard shot to hit. Like you have to either move back, let the ball come way down and take it, and try to drive it with kind of almost a blind shot, or like you have to move in and try to take it on the rise. And a lot of people, it's a very tough shot to take a ball on the rise and try to drive it and try to take, the advantage of the point. Yes, you are not trying to do anything as the person that initiated the moon ball. You are certainly not trying to hit a win or anything like that on somebody. But what you're doing is making them go, well, I have to either move back and hit a ball way deep behind the baseline, or I got to come in and take a really hard shot to try to take advantage of this quote moon ball. A lot of people, they don't train this stuff. They don't plan for these things. They don't do whatever. So like I was quickly recognized I was not going to beat this guy, and it was in tournament format. We were playing 8-game pro sets. So it was a quick match. So I didn't even have like 3 sets to try to just like grind them out, and try to figure out how I could play my game, but then like wear them down or something like that and see how it goes. So I said, fuck it. I got to try something completely different. So I just started hitting moon balls deep in the court the entire time. And the guy couldn't hit a fucking ball back. And like, I mean, I ended up just easily winning the match. Like after, I think I won the next like 5 games in a row or something.
So it's not what it is.
It wasn't what it was. My point being is like people forget you can hit the ball as high as you want. You can hit the ball as as long as it goes over there.
Right. That's an example you said about the katana. Say, hey, why can't I show people? Is it against the rule? Why can't I moonball you? Is it against the rule?
So I'm ashamed to admit this, but like my second serve. So I have a okay first serve. I could probably hit it like 100 miles an hour or something like that. I only get it in though maybe 5 out of 10 times, right? Like, so it's like at least 50% of the time, which isn't a great, you want your first serve percentage, if you're really, really good, to be like 70-80% or something like that, right? Like I don't have a good serve. I'm not a good server. Like, I mean, I want to be a better server, and that's something that I need to work on. But like the truth is I'm not a great server. My second serve though is even worse. Like I literally in my head, if I miss my first serve, I'm like, oh god, you got to get it in, just 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 get it in, right? So I started to do these weird ass mechanics where I'm like people would always go, just spin it in, Chris, just spin it in, and I'm like, what the fuck do you think I'm doing over here? I'm just trying to spin it in, and it's not just spinning it in, like like I don't know, I've always had trouble. It gets in my head, I think about it, like, and it starts to be like this deteriorating thing, right? Well, years ago. There's also another unwritten rule where you got to try to go for your serve. Like, I mean, even if you're the second serve, you got to try to serve it the way that everybody's always known how you're supposed to serve the ball. If you hit an underhanded serve in the pro game, it's so disrespectful. Like, even though people are standing now like 8 feet, 10 feet, 12 feet behind the baseline because they serve the ball so fucking hard, it's like, why would you not hit a quick underhanded drop serve? Like, because they're not going to be able to run and get it. Like, they're going to be off balance. Like, people, but it's disrespectful, right? So for me,
but
like,
who says it's disrespectful?
Exactly. It's a good strategy, right? It is what it is. So this is no joke. Years and years and years ago, the biggest fundamental change in my game was I was like, you know what? I would double fault all the time on my second serve, which is giving somebody just a free point. That's stupid. That is the dumbest thing you could do. I said, fuck it. Like, one of these matches, like, I was playing, I was like, I am so frustrated with double faulting all the time. And I was like, I just went like this. I went up to the service line and I went, just dinked it over the net. Like, like I just kept doing it the entire match. And what I ended up finding out was people don't like to hit the ball. It was kind of almost like a knuckleball. Like, so it'd like knuckle in there. They don't want to hit the ball below the net. It's really hard to get the ball up and over the net to be able to hit any power behind it, to be able to put it where you want, especially if you're not an incredibly talented player, right? Like, I'm not talking about pro level people. Pro level dudes would just fucking abuse me for doing that, right? Like, and they should. But like, some of the people that I play against are like, it's kind of a tricky shot. They try to hit a drop shot. I'm really fast, and I usually get to it every single time and put them on their heels. If they try to drive it deep in me in the baseline, one of my favorite shots is to pick the ball up really quick because I'm small. Like, I've learned my whole life to hit the ball on the rise really quick down low by my feet. So I'm actually able to take that, direct it, and actually put a lot of power behind it. What I hate are shots that are above my head where they're like moon balls where I'm trying to hit it from up here and like, because I'm a tiny guy, right? Like, so the irony of all ironies is that stupid little dink shot, even though I literally am conceding them, hey, you can do whatever the fuck you want. Here you go. I'm just going to hit a 10-mile-an-hour little dink to you and just go ahead and do whatever you want to do. Almost every single person like struggles with that, where they hit errors off it all the time, or I get to hit winners off it or whatever. I like at a certain point in competition levels, like, I can't do it all the time because like, they're, but I always start off with that no matter what now. Like, I start off with my second serve. I'm like, I'm not going to double fault. Here you go. I missed my first serve, whatever. And if they show me that they can beat that, and they can not allow me to do what I'm going to do, because why would I not do it? Like, I don't need to hit. Why do I need to risk hitting a second serve that I'm not great at, and like, my point being is like when you get stuck into situations, no coach would have ever said, Chris, just fucking literally dink the ball in. They would have been like, go back, go, hit 500 million new serves, like, train, like, push yourself, like, even if you're hurting your body, like, just figure out how to hit this shot. And like, to be fair, if I ever want to make a leap, a gigantic leap in my tennis game, I have to get past this stuff where my serving needs to become more consistent and effective, right? But like, I'm not trying to be a professional fucking server. If the person doesn't, I'm going to play it in my competition, right?
Because even if you are professional and you can discover the weakness of a opponent, you can use it. Why can't you use it? I mean, you're talking about David versus Goliath, right?
Yes.
So then you think that David was lucky? I mean, David is not lucky. He knows that, hey, Goliath can't see shit.
Right.
And that
he can't move fast.
And David saw his weakness, and that's the reason why David beat Goliath. Not because David is trying with the giant, blah blah blah. And no, that's just a bunch of BS stories, right? David saw that Goliath can't see shit, and he is weak in that area, so he aimed for that weakness and took him down, because after he can't see and he's slow, he can't do shit, and so he wins because he understands his strengths and the opponent's weaknesses. So even if you're in a professional and your guy can't do it, or that his worst, you play against your opponent's weakness versus his strength. If he has a tremendous first class forehand, don't hit to his forehand.
Right. Yeah,
right?
I
mean, to me, that's just dumb. But say, it is what it is. It's professional. Who fucking care about professional?
Right.
Is that a rule to say I can't do that? If you say, hey, I can't do that, it's just because you just do whatever people expect you to do. And to me, you know better than the rest of the people. Say, why should you stand out if you do exactly what everybody else does? How can you be different if you do the same thing as everybody else? You think about the oxymoron on that thing.
Yep.
Right? You cannot be different if you do the same thing.
You like, whenever you find yourself saying it is what it is, in my opinion, that should be the trigger to go, oh, okay, well, I could actually, if I stopped and thought about it and figured out why I do what I do and think about how to do something differently, like you could have a blue ocean strategy all day, every day, right? You know, like daycare. If you run a business and you're like, this is stupid, I don't want to send my kid to daycare. My wife, you know, is a principal at a charter school, and she could say, you know what, I'm going to start my own, like, you know, take your kid to school every day, and this is just what we're going to do. Like, I want my son around me. I want him to be around this environment. Like, I mean, I'm going to take him to work. Like, she could start a trend doing that whole entire thing, you know, or something like that, you know, where it's like, it just is normalized now to have a kid running around the office saying shit, doing shit in the middle of the, in the middle of meetings, you know?
You think about this, like back in, I don't remember how long ago, but you know, back in the day when Ansel Keys come out and say, hey, you know, butter is bad, oil is bad, eat margarine. And everybody eats margarine, and people say it is what it is. What happens to people eating margarine?
I don't know.
Heart disease, heart failure, blah blah.
Oh, was it really?
Right?
I didn't know that.
I mean, when you accept it is what it is,
right.
This is what you get. Because people say, because then Ansel Keys, you know,
oh yeah, meat's bad now, you know.
Meat's bad, you know, oil, coconut oil is bad, blah blah. Now coconut oil is in fashion now. But we're talking about people made this artificial butter called margarine. Okay, before they cook with lard, which is fat, right? You know, your grandma's cook with lard and all that,
right.
And they say, well, these are blah blah blah, heart disease, blah blah. Then they switch to margarine, and then everybody say, hey, everybody eat margarine because it is what it is, and everybody eating it, and the people who eat it, right, they have worse and more heart disease and die of heart complications than before and then after. Because right now there's no margarine, you can't find margarine because people understand it. Right? They go back to butter. But you have to understand, if you buy into the it is what it is concept, you are basically in a gutter along with everybody else.
Right.
So it's not only that it's harmful to you, because anyone can take a narrative and push it towards whatever gains they want to get, because they need people to buy a certain brand of food or whatever, and they can create, just like Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, right? It's just made up. There's no real story, but somebody made up as some sort of an advertisement. What's the purpose of Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer?
It is to
sell some more shit.
right.
And so you're talking about people say, hey, don't eat this or eat more of this. What is the purpose of saying that? To sell more shit.
Right.
Yeah,
there's always an agenda.
It is your health, and it's you who's paying for somebody else's narrative. Yep. And if you buy into this what it is, you are so much gullible for them to take advantage of you.
And it's not fun.
So you think about it.
Like it's way more fun to be
curious. Not only that's not fun, but it's miserable. You think about having like today, you're talking about, like, I guess majority, I will say like 70% of people are either overweight or diabetic or close to being diabetic. I mean, you're talking about a huge percent of the population. And so you are told to eat certain type, like this food pyramid or whatever. That is what got us here. And so if you continue to eat a food pyramid, you continue to go and eat McDonald's, and you continue to eat whatever was prescribed to you in the it is what it is column, this is what you get. And so you say, well, diabetic. Well, until you become diabetic, you're gonna understand. Until you have like hypertension, high blood pressure, and all these chronic disease, you understand. I mean, you get to the point where, I mean, you think about people committing suicide so much nowadays just because you're on these drugs, right? They're in depression because they have this imbalance, especially for women who are on a lot of the vegan diet. They don't have enough nutrients. They have chemical imbalance, and because they have a lot of emotions, a lot of hormones, right? They need to balance, and without the proper minerals and vitamins, they have hormone imbalance, and they have these depressions. And then they take depression medication, antidepressant medication, that makes it worse. It just spiral downward. And you think about it, you're paying for this narrative with your own life, right? With your own suffering, with your own misery. So it's not fun, but there is so much darkness on the other side of that. It is what it is, corn.
I've given you the example of Luca and his antibiotics. Every fucking time that Felicia goes to the doctor, every fucking time,
that's a go-to.
It's the first thing that they're like, well, you just take some antibiotics, and I'm like, what the fuck? He went perfectly healthy the other day. And they said, oh, it looks like his ear's a little inflamed. Like, if he continues to get ear infections, we should probably put him on a course of antibiotics. And then, if worst case scenario, then he has to get like tubes in his ears. You know why he has an ear infection?
Why?
Daycare.
Daycare.
Yeah, he never had ear infections ever his entire life. I see all these kids now with like tubes in their ears or whatever, like getting tubes, and I'm like, and you hear, oh, they got chronic ear infections. Well, why do you think they have chronic ear infections? Like, do you think they're just born with chronic ear infections, or maybe it was the fact when they were 2 months old, we threw them into a fucking daycare and they started getting sick, with all the other fucking babies and never got a chance to heal, and then we just kept pumping more antibiotics into them, more and more antibiotics into them. They can never figure out how to fight off shit, and all of a sudden, oh, hey, your ears are all fucked. We should go get a surgery and put a tube in your ear. I'm not saying that this is the kid's fault or the parents' fault or whatever. This is literally like we just
Well,
go,
I think
everything
that we do, it is our own fault.
yes.
It is your own fault for not knowing. Okay, so you can blame whoever you want, but it's you are the one. Okay, you are the one that either accept or reject or learn or figure it out for yourself.
Right.
So I'm not saying that everybody is going to be perfectly and flawless about it, but at least hey, do I understand this? If I don't understand this, can I figure out what it is? Because you have the faculty to do that. God gave you that faculty. Yep. You're just not using it. Right? Like I said, you are 1,000 times better than ChatGPT. And if ChatGPT can take like random shit and then give you a patterns, you can do it 100 times, 1,000 times faster than it can. Okay. And the thing is, you think about what God made you and what a man made ChatGPT. So you think about it, you are discounting yourself so much that you left the tools unused. So you have the faculty that God gave you, this powerful brain. Not only one brain, but 3 brains. Right? You have 2 here and 1 in the stomach.
Right.
You have 3 brains, right? And you probably can say I have 4 brains too. There's a medulla and back there. It's also counted as a brain. Mm-hmm. Like there's this medulla, the midbrain, and 4 brains, right? So 3 brain in your head and 1 brain in your stomach. You have 4 brains. That's 4 fucking ChatGPT right there. And if you are impressed and wow at ChatGPT, you should be impressed and wow at yourself. That's true. You have the ability. So the thing is, you think that, hey, I looked at one thing, I have no idea what it is. Keep looking at it. You don't need to do shit. Just keep feeding yourself this information. Right. Eventually, it'll figure out a pattern. Yep. It will, because you feed ChatGPT different things. Eventually, I found this pattern, right? And it's never. I mean, you give ChatGPT millions of data points. You only need like 5, 10, 11, 100. Okay, let's say you spend 100. Okay, I want to buy a fucking house. Okay, go look at houses. Go look at different things. I guarantee you don't surpass 100 different set of data before you say, well, this is the house I want, blah, 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 everything. You want a vacation, you want to play tennis, you want to whatever that interests you, and you want to answer to it. And to us, we have the gene of desire to discover and to explore. And that desire, as long as you ask a question on yourself, you will want the answer.
You'll figure it out. Yeah.
That's why when we watch a movie, the suspense is really killing us. This is one, it engages us because I don't care how mundane the story is, as long as you keep saying, hey, I give you an idea, I give you a question. All right, I pose a question. You're gonna have to figure out what that question, even if it's as stupid as something very dumb. You want to know.
The best books ever.
You want to know what happens.
The best books ever is they start with a question. Like
pose yourself a question.
This book is, why do we do what we do? Like for Christmas, I don't know. I want to know, Bill. Tell me. Like let's go down this journey together. Like I mean, that was the whole entire question. That is Bill Bryson's secret. He starts off with a question of like, okay, why is our dining room the way that our dining room is, or why is?
I mean, you ask me why ballroom is called ballroom, right? I mean, if you don't tell me, I'm gonna go to look it up because I need to know. Right. I mean, regardless if it's as like trivial as just, hey, what do I need to know the answer to? Why is the ballroom? As long as you pose a question yourself, your mind is gonna want to explore and figure out that answer. So
It
all you
is.
have to do is when you ask the question is, do I need this antibiotic? What it do to me? If
I
you
don't know.
ask the question without accepting, the problem today is we keep accepting exactly what it, and the problem I see today is making worse and worse is whatever I say, right? You one, regurgitate exactly what I say, or two, you regurgitate part of what I say and
Right.
take it completely wrong. And
Right.
then three, you take parts of what I say and put them together. It makes it even worse, right? This is
Right.
this is what I mean. People do. It's like, oh, I like this, I like that. Oh, I like that person. Oh, that person is guilty. The other person's not guilty. Oh, the world is like, oh, global warming, this and that. Are you causing it? Blah blah blah. It's like, did you research or you just
Is
repeat someone else's word? Are you
that
are you
that's
a fucking
hey, that's a really good one actually, is global warming. Okay, fine. Like, is it bad? Like,
I mean, global warming.
is it bad? Like, I mean, is it even bad? Nobody's ever said that.
It has to warm because otherwise you're still in the ice age.
This is what I'm saying. It's like, is it even bad? Like, oh yeah, well the polar caps are melting. Okay, is that bad? The
Well,
sea levels are rising.
like I
Okay,
say,
is that bad?
we
Like,
started with the ice age. If the world didn't start to warm up, you would not. You be still living on an igloo.
I mean, exactly. Like, so I'm not even saying that they're okay. Let's agree. The climate is warming. Like, who caused it? Like, I don't know. It is what it is, right? Like, right? Like, we could go back and argue about who caused it, but let's talk about what's going on going forward with that. And we don't actually have to talk about it. But
I mean, the thing is,
the question that nobody ever takes to
the thing
is
is,
it
people
bad?
say that the cow poop causing global warming. The cow
Sure,
poop.
right.
They say, hey, the cow poop creates methanes and it goes into the atmosphere and
I
it
mean, it
causes
could.
global warming. No,
Is
that's a narrative that people
right.
say, well, yeah.
Don't eat meat.
Well, you don't eat meat, and then there's more cows, then there's more
Well,
global
but
warming.
hang on. But
But
the narrative that we're all told around global warming is that it's bad, right? It's bad for the world if the world warms, right?
because it is what it is, because it warms. Yeah, it's the war's
But it's
gonna end
bad.
because it will.
Yeah, because
Yeah,
it's
of
warming,
course it's
right?
bad.
Like so. What does that actually mean? Like, I mean, because it could cool. Like, nobody ever said that we have a static climate. Like, I mean, because clearly the climate has changed many times in many different eras and
Nothing can be static in this world. Cannot be static because you
right.
say, well, the Sahara Desert used to be not Sahara Desert. Well, the thing is, that's the thing. It's the world's always changing, right?
Right.
So you say, well, this is my tropical rainforest, right? It could become a desert
Could be
because
done against it.
if
Yeah,
if the season changes, it will
right.
change. And that's the
Exactly.
point. Is we live in a dynamic world. You can't expect to be everything stagnant. A river cannot have stagnant water. It has
Right.
to flow. It has to flow for it to have this fresh water. It has to go because without the flow, you can't use it, right? Without the flow, the bacteria and the critters can't use it because they need to eat the whatever that's in the river to
Well,
make it clean,
I
right?
mean,
And so the ecosystem. So you cannot say, well, everything can change, and if everything can change, then you don't change.
right.
Well, you want yourself to change, but you want everything else to be constant. How's that logical?
It's not. But I think the point of the matter is I think the narrative that we all hear is we just accept narratives and then we keep going. We accept the narrative of Santa Claus. Like, I mean, we all go like, hey, like I mean, I got in that room right behind there, there's like 9 boxes filled with Christmas shit and Santa Claus stuff and whatever that comes out every year, and we do stuff with, and never once in my entire life have I gone, why the fuck do we this is just like, why do we do this? Like, like, why? Like, I've never once asked that question ever in my entire life, like, and I'm not saying that I could still go, I still enjoy it and it's fine, but like, at least I can at least go, oh, all right, well, that makes sense why we eat, this at this time, or we use this for this, or at least I can have agency over my own decision making.
I mean, it's like if I want to eat a fruit cake, I'll make a fruit cake. I don't have to wait until Christmas to eat a fruit
exactly.
cake.
Yeah. If that's your cake of choice, it's your cake of choice.
If that's my choice,
yeah,
I'm not gonna wait till Christmas. I don't have to. I have to
all
wait
right,
for
hey,
the right occasion.
we got to put a pin on this one because we're officially way over time because we can keep going all night long. So all right. let's put a pin here. The question we can leave everybody with is, when was the last time you stopped and asked why we do what we do? You know, and if you're not, remember,
Well,
it is
like
what
I
it
say,
is.
there's pros and cons, right? The what you do, I told you about the dark side of what you accepting what, you know, it is what it is. And
Right.
so, you know, be aware of what you take in.
Not everything you need to fight everything, but like some of the stuff you should, and find the stuff that matters, you know, that you want to fight, and go, wow, oh, that doesn't make a whole lot of sense. Like if I wanted to go revolutionize the daycare industry, like I would. I don't care. Like it's not a big deal. Like I'm not
I mean, same thing with Santa Claus, right?
right.
Okay, I don't really care where it came from, as long as, you
But
know,
somebody may. But somebody
right,
may.
somebody made it up.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer too.
And if that's your jam, and you want to go, if that's your cake, and you want to go fix the whole narrative around Christmas, then go for it. You know, fix it. Like I don't care. You know, I mean, it's not mine, but like, ask the question, and then make the decision whether or not, once you have information, whether or not that is worth your time to go recorrect that blue ocean strategy, you know, with the new blue ocean strategy, right? Like we're asking that question with Clubany, like, why is the working life the way that it is? You know, it shouldn't be this way. Like
It should not be this what it is.
It shouldn't be that. Yeah, in our view, like this is our blue ocean that we said, well, it's not, it is what it is. You don't just have to do one job at a company, and if you know, and if it doesn't totally fit you, that you should, you know, just be fired, or go find another job, or culture should die, you know. And I just said my own thing of getting. I'm done. Okay, we're done. All right. Anyway,
it is what it is.
Answer the question. Yeah, it is what it is.
Right. No.
No, it is what it is. Yeah. All right. Have a good night, everybody.
All right. See you tomorrow.